welcome to this episode of the Private Insider Guide podcast. I have Tommy Suell on with me today, and he flies the PC-24. And I know so many of you have been asking me to interview someone about this amazing plane that Pilatus came out with a few years ago, and I've finally found an accommodating pilot. Tommy, thanks so much for agreeing to be on the podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So you fly the PC-24, and I've been chasing you across the country, virtually speaking, trying to nail you down on interviewing with me about this. What aircraft did you fly before the 24? Were you in the PC-12?
Before we got the PC-24, I was currently flying the 12, PC-12. We had a legacy model and an NG model, and I flew that for about, I would say, 3 years before we picked up the 12 or 24.
Hey, great. So can you tell me a little bit about the differences between the two?
They're relatively similar, other than one's turboprop and one's a twin jet. Obviously, the 24 goes twice as fast, but burns almost 3 times more fuel. But handling characteristic wise, it flies like a PC-12, other than landing. The last 10, 20 feet of landing is not the same, but everything else, maneuverability, short field capabilities, short takeoff, is comparable match to the 12.
That is great to know. So performance wise, what's the range of the PC-24 in your experience?
That's about 2,000 miles with an hour reserve when you land. Longest haul I did was about Las Vegas direct to Teterboro, which is New York basically. So it's not quite LA to Vegas or LA to New York, but it's just about an hour shy of, if I had an extra 800 pounds, I could do it. But unfortunately, that's something Pilatus didn't have room.
Okay. Well, tell me about your typical mission in this aircraft. But what's the typical thing that you fly that made it make sense for you to choose this?
We do all kinds of missions. We like to do a lot of off-airport missions. We fly for Burning Man companies. I'm a chief pilot for a company called AirSmart out here in Las Vegas, and we fly in and out on a dry lake bed, so we don't have unimproved paved surfaces to land on all the time out there. So to be able to utilize the jet to get there and quicker and faster for our high-end clients, they appreciate it. So we have the capabilities of landing off airport, which we've done a couple times already with our jet.
And can you tell me a little bit about the fuel burn on the plane? I know you said it goes twice as fast and burns 3 times as much fuel, but what does that mean as far as actual fuel burn for the aircraft?
So your first hour is about 1,500 pounds of fuel burn, and then your second hour drops down to about 1,000 pounds to 850, depending on, we try to go up as high as we can to save that fuel burn. So we'll climb up to like 45,000 feet and just cruise at Mach 0.72. And mid-cruise, you'll be burning 900 pounds an hour for both engines. Seems
like it's still pretty fuel efficient.
Yeah, we carry just almost 6,000 pounds of fuel, so it's just under 6 hours of flight time. So usually my planning cross country is about 4.5 hours of flight time, and then I have an hour reserved for fuel. So that's where you burning up all your gas fuel.
That's probably about long enough to be in that plane without stopping anyway. So probably good.
Yeah, 4.5 hours. I flew direct from Chicago to California yesterday. It was about 4.5 hours. Didn't really get out of the seat. It's pretty comfortable in the cockpit, a little bit more roomier than a PC-12, so it's pretty spacious.
Well, talk to me about the pilot workload in the cockpit for you. And do you fly single pilot, or are you a 2-pilot operation?
We do fly single pilot operations. I am type single pilot, and we do have 2 pilots as well for long hauls and stuff like that, just for extra guard security. But single pilot workload, piece of cake, really easy. The avionics system with the Honeywell is built to be managed by one person. The workload is the design of the Pilatus with single pilot in mind. The way they designed the system and everything, it's really simple. Passengers in the back, they love it because most of the passengers have flown previously on the PC-12, and they get in the 24 and they're like, it's so much more roomier. You got a lot more elbow room, a little bit more height on the ceilings, plus the flat floors, help out a lot. But I think it's mostly a little bit more elbow room now that they're getting, is making everybody feel pretty comfortable back there.
I think that's pretty significant. You said flat floor. I think it may be the only single pilot jet with a flat floor. Is that right?
I would say so. I think all the other flat floor jets are pretty, require 2 pilots. The biggest thing with flat floors that I've had compliments about with passengers are some of our high-end clients have big dogs, and they travel with their pets, and their pets are just laying behind them on a flat floor on the seat rather than squished in a tiny aisle,
Great. Well, obviously passengers really have always loved the PC-12, and it sounds like it's no difference with the PC-24. How about the luggage capacity for passengers?
You can put as much luggage as you want in there. It's pretty big. They have really big cargo space, and you can put up to 500 pounds in the back. And if you need more than that, you can start pulling seats out and strapping stuff down like cargo. So I had a request to carry a 8-foot longboard. And so I had 4 seats out of the back pulled out, and we strapped in the longboards directly in and doesn't damage the surfboards or anything. And you're pretty much good to go. So.
Fun. That's the great thing about private aviation, isn't it? You can take all sorts of things with you.
Yeah.
How long has this particular PC-24 been in operation?
I've been flying. I picked up delivery of our PC-24 in December of last year, so just almost a year now.
Yeah, so there's not really anything that you can say about the maintenance intervals. You've barely had any maintenance done to this point.
We just dropped it off last night for maintenance for its first annual. But Pilatus, with their crystal care program and everything, have been on top of anything that we had. If we had any squawks, they were pretty much quick to get it fixed for us. And no major issues or anything. They've been pretty quick to get on the case if we had a little, typical A-series models of any new jet that comes out, you're going to have little gremlins and bugs going through the systems, and then they just go in there and fix it for us. So, but their work, they gave us a hot 24-hour hotline to call if we get stuck somewhere, and they'll send someone up to check it out.
So my experience is that Pilatus has always been incredibly responsive to anything that's going on with their aircraft. They seem to be pretty well organized. Has that been your experience as well?
Yeah, especially with the 24. They're, they have an ALG hotline. We call them, and then they'll have a situation figured out relatively quick. Whether if they need to bring parts straight from Switzerland overnight, they've done it.
Sounds like an incredible aircraft. Tommy, thank you so much for answering my questions about the PC-24. I really appreciate it.